Alright, I'm gonna give it a shot. Good afternoon. My name is Justin Crozier. Good afternoon. I am here to talk with you for a little bit about criminal law, and specifically today, I'm gonna be talking about possession cases. So there are a variety of different ways that possession cases get charged. Well, first off, I guess I should tell you a little bit about myself. My name is Justin Crozier. I am the owner and operator of Crozier Law, LLC. I'm shooting my first Facebook Live video, so hopefully I'm not too disgusting. And hopefully you don't look at me and like, all right, this guy's no good. You know, we can't use this guy for any reason at all. What I'm hoping is that I can give you a little bit of information that's going to be useful to you or to somebody that you know, or just a little bit informative, educational, and help you know a little bit more about the criminal justice system. So what I'm talking about today is possession cases, drug possession, in case you were curious what I meant by possession. So a possession case, what that means is that you've been charged with having in your custody, whether you knew it or not doesn't necessarily mean that you actively knew about it. You knew that it was on you and you were stowing it away. It just means that you had on you a item that is prohibited. That's a drug item. That could be marijuana, that could be methamphetamines, it could be cocaine, it could be heroin, it could be opiates, it could be prescription pills, it could be any number of things. There's tons of stuff that it could be. And usually it falls into one of three categories. Category 1, we're talking about a city level charge, okay? So a city level charge is normally, for the most part, these things fall on one side of the ledger or the other. One is less than 35 grams of marijuana. That's one type of charge, okay? That always falls to the city. Right? It's a misdemeanor. It's, you theoretically you're looking at some time in prison. It's a misdemeanor. You're most likely not. You're probably going to be looking at probation. You're probably looking at a fine, right? If it is less than 35 grams of marijuana, you're probably just looking at a city charge, okay? Now, if it is more than 35 grams of marijuana, or it could be anything else. It could be a half a gram of methamphetamines. If it's not less than, in Missouri is so ridiculous, but if it is not less than 35 grams of marijuana, so less than 35 grams of marijuana on one side, something that's not 35 grams of marijuana is on the other side, okay? 1 gram of cocaine is the same as more than 35 grams of marijuana. So if it's not that, then it goes to the state court. So what that means is that on the one side, you've got a very good likelihood of getting probation. You have a very good likelihood of just paying a fine. You have a very good likelihood of this thing not being on your criminal record. Honestly, like, we can probably keep it off. If it goes to the state court, it's a little bit more dicey. Now we're starting to look at what is your criminal history? What is, have you been hit with other probation charges? Have you been hit with other possession charges? What have you done in the past that's influencing this case? Because a possession charge is oftentimes a Class C felony. A Class C felony means that it carries with it a charge of potentially 7 years in jail, right? I mean, we're not talking, or prison, actually. I mean, you could do some time in jail. For those of you who don't know, jail and prison, while if you've never done time in either one, it seems like it's probably the same thing, right? The reality is it is not. Prison and jail are very different things. Jail is usually local, county, going to Jackson County Jail. Prison is state penitentiary, right? So you're going to Jefferson City. You're going someplace that they've got big high fences around the outside. A lot of people actually would, well, That's neither here nor there, but some people would rather be in prison than jail, because Jackson County Jail is not fun. Most people don't want to be there. No one wants to be in prison either, but again, neither here nor there. So what we're talking about is that a Class C felony carries with it the possibility of 7 years in prison, state prison. And what we would be trying to do, if you have a possession charge, we would be looking at trying to minimize that, right? We're trying to figure out a way to get rid of these long-term kinds of charges. We're trying to reduce it down so that what you're getting is probation. What you're getting is something that's going to let you be back home with your family, living life. We want to get rid of the rest. So we've talked about city charges. We've talked about state charges. The last thing that you could be hit with, and the least desirable, are federal charges. Federal charges tend to be very, very serious charges, okay? Federal charges are, they've got video of you. They've got, so I have a case currently where we've got a guy who's been hit with a few of these, right? Selling drugs at the same time that he was in possession of a weapon. The possession of a weapon is a 924C. In case you're curious or you want to do a little bit of research. 924C, the first one, 5 years. Second one, 25 years. Third one, 25 years again. Those are consecutive charges. What that means is that when you're looking at charges from a criminal sense, they come in two ways. They come concurrent or they come consecutive, okay? So a concurrent charge means that it's happening at the same time as another charge. So you get 10 years for robbing a store. It's not good. You don't want that. But you got it. You got 10 years. Now, they've also charged you with 5 years for assault. You beat somebody up while you did it. Shouldn't have robbed the place. Who knows why you did it, but there you are. Got 10 years for one, 5 years for the other. If they run concurrent, then you're going to do 10 years. The 5 years are happening at the same time the 10 years are happening. If they run consecutive, that means you do the 10 years, then you do the 5 years. 15 years total, right? Consecutive, concurrent. Relatively easy to understand. 924C charges are charges that run consecutive. So, if you get 4 of them, each one has to run after the other. Federal charges, serious shit, okay? Like, they hit you hard, and they do their best to keep you in there as long as they can. So at that point, what we're doing is we're trying to figure out a way to minimize that damage. We're trying to figure out a way to kind of keep you from getting hammered as long as possible. We want to try and reduce those charges. If we can keep it, like, the difference between 2 924Cs, federal court, and 1, it's incredible. I mean, that's the difference between being in jail effectively for your life and being in jail for a few years, which nobody wants, but it's way better than life. That's what we're talking about. Federal charges are very, very serious. We really have to be very careful with those. It's a very expensive kind of a case. State level charges, they can also be very serious. 7 years is nothing to joke about, but it's manageable. It's something that we can usually parlay into a probation. It might be 5 years of probation, maybe 7 years of probation, depending. But if you don't have any other charges, then you're probably looking at a relatively short period of time, which is good. City charges, if you go to municipal court, municipal court in Kansas City, Harrisonville, Blue Springs, Independence, Raytown, whatever, anywhere around here, most likely you may not even have to do probation. You may just go in, we may negotiate something, you pay a fine, and you're done. That's kind of best case scenario, okay? That's what we're hoping to do for you. But it really depends on your circumstances. It's, there's a saying in the legal community that someone asks you a question like, what's going to happen if this happens? You're like, well, it depends. I wish it wasn't true, but that is the case. If you're somebody who just got out of prison 6 months ago because you killed somebody or whatever, you're going to be at harder for a possession charge than someone who has never been in trouble before. A 17-year-old at a high school, they were driving too fast and they got caught with with a roach or something like that. They're going to get a different treatment than someone who's caught with 35 grams of cocaine. Obviously they're going to be treated differently. So it really depends on what your past is, what the circumstances were you polite with the officer? All that stuff makes a huge difference. So if you have any questions about this, please let me know. I'm happy to answer them. I just want to try and get us some general information there about how these possession charges work in general. If there's anything that you need, let me know. Give me a call. I am Justin Crozier. I'm the proprietor of Crozier Law LLC. Primarily, I work in criminal defense. I run the gamut on charges. I do everything from, tickets to murder, and I've got cases on all of those things recently. I don't have charges on those things. I haven't murdered anybody, at least not recently. But anything that people deal with, I help them with. And if you have questions, let me know. If there's anything I can do for you in the future, please let me know. I plan on doing more of these videos, so if you have questions, I'd be happy to answer them in a video format. Just shoot them at me, and I'm going to do my best to get back with you. Thank you very much. If there's anything I can do, check out my website, check out whatever, and hopefully this video has given you some information. Good luck out there, and I hope that you're the best.